devastating day for the doctor at the center of the Michael Jackson case. The possibility that Michael Jackson drank that last lethal dose on his own after the doctor left the room, listing all of the simple ways Jackson could have been saved, saying those words that he was definitely savable.
In a shocking turn of events, never before heard final recordings of Michael Jackson have reportedly been leaked, sending shockwaves through the music world.
When you monitor a patient, you never leave their side, especially after giving propofol. It's like leaving a baby that's sleeping on your kitchen countertop.
Recorded during the last days before his sudden death, these tapes offer a rare and unsettling glimpse into the man behind the legend. In them, we hear moments of vulnerability, brilliance, and confusion that fans were never meant to witness. As clips begin to spread online, one haunting question rises. What really happened in Michael Jackson's final days, and why are these recordings only coming out now? Let's uncover the emotional details. The chaotic emergency inside Michael Jackson's home. In the frantic, confusing moments that followed a life-changing medical emergency, a disturbing 911 call revealed how chaotic things had become inside Michael Jackson's home. What should have been a clear and fast emergency response instead unfolded like a scene filled with panic, delay, and uncertainty. As Jackson lay unresponsive in the bedroom, his bodyguard, Alberto Alvarez, later became one of the most important witnesses in court, giving a detailed account of what he saw during those terrifying minutes inside the mansion. Alvarez described a situation that felt disorganized and deeply distressing. He recalled seeing Dr. Conrad Murray trying to revive Jackson, but not on a hard, stable surface as required for proper CPR. Instead, resuscitation was being attempted on a soft mattress, something that goes against basic medical training and makes chest compressions far less effective. In the middle of this intense scene, Jackson's young children were also present in the room. According to the testimony, they stood nearby in shock, witnessing something no child should ever have to see as confusion and fear filled the space around them. Alvarez also told the court that there was a troubling delay before emergency services were finally contacted. In those critical minutes, he said he was instructed to help move and hide certain medical items, including small vials and an IV bag that contained a strange, milky-looking liquid. Only after this did the call to 911 go through. This detail later became a major focus in legal discussions, raising serious questions about hesitation, decision-making, and what exactly happened during those final moments when every second mattered most. As this tragic story spread, a separate and haunting image began circulating online. It showed a man who closely resembled Michael Jackson lying alone on a bed, his face pale, framed by a white pillow and an ornate golden headboard behind him. His dark hair falls across his face, and his distant expression creates an atmosphere of sadness and isolation. Many people saw the image as emotional or symbolic, almost like a frozen memory of loss. However, its true origin remains unclear. To this day, it is still debated whether the image is real, altered, or entirely created online, leaving behind more questions than answers in an already emotional story. A witness in court made it clear that normal procedures weren't followed in the attempt to save Michael Jackson before the emergency call was made. But was that emergency call enough to save his life? Or had the damage already been done? And how far did the doctors go in their efforts to save him? Let's uncover the emotional details. The final hours inside the mansion. Inside the mansion, every passing second could have made the difference between life and death, yet confusion and costly mistakes quickly took over. Instead of a swift and organized medical response, critical decisions were delayed when time mattered most. CPR was reportedly performed on a soft bed rather than a hard surface, even after the 911 dispatcher gave clear instructions. That crucial mistake greatly reduced the effectiveness of the life-saving effort, turning precious moments into a heartbreaking race against time. When paramedics eventually arrived at the scene, another serious gap in communication made things even more complicated. They were not informed that propofol, a powerful and highly controlled anesthetic, had been used. Without this crucial detail, they initially treated the situation as if it were a simple case of exhaustion or collapse, not a deep medical emergency involving strong sedatives. This missing information delayed the kind of targeted, life-saving treatment that could only be given if doctors understood exactly what they were dealing with from the very beginning. At the UCLA Medical Center, doctors worked urgently for about an hour, using every advanced tool and method available to try to bring him back. Machines, medications, and non-stop efforts filled the room, but despite everything, the situation had already gone too far. Michael Jackson was officially pronounced dead at 2:26 p.m., bringing a heartbreaking end to a long and painful medical struggle that had started hours earlier. The timeline of his final hours adds even more emotional weight to the tragedy. After an intense night of rehearsal, he returned home around 12:30 a.m., still carrying the exhaustion of his demanding schedule. By 10:40 a.m., unable to find sleep, he reportedly requested propofol, a strong anesthetic used in controlled hospital settings. Before that, other sedatives had already been used to manage his ongoing insomnia. Then came a silent gap, a stretch of time where no effective intervention changed what was unfolding. When he was eventually found unresponsive, valuable minutes slipped away during desperate attempts to revive him in front of his children. Emergency services were finally called at 12:26 p.m., but by then, the outcome had already been set in motion, and nothing could reverse it. Despite the tireless efforts of medical experts, Michael Jackson took his final breath and was pronounced dead by doctors. But would an autopsy reveal the true cause of his death? If so, what exactly did the examination uncover? Did the findings support the rumors that had already begun to spread, or strengthen the official explanation of what happened? Let's find out, inside the final medical examination. Following the emergency response and the tragic pronouncement of death, Michael Jackson's body was transported by helicopter to the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office in Lincoln Heights. There, a formal autopsy was carried out the next day, June 26, in a detailed 3-hour examination led by the chief medical examiner, Lakshmanan Satyavagiswaran. This procedure marked the beginning of the official effort to understand exactly what had happened in his final hours. In addition to the official examination, the Jackson family arranged a private second autopsy. This independent procedure was conducted alongside the coroner's findings, offering a separate review, though with a more limited scope compared to the official state investigation. Early preliminary observations from the coroner's office, later shared by Chief Investigator Craig Harvey, indicated that there was no evidence of external trauma or foul play on the body. This initial finding helped narrow the focus of the investigation toward internal medical causes rather than physical injury. On August 28, 2009, the Los Angeles County Coroner formally classified Michael Jackson's death as a homicide under medical definition, meaning it resulted from the actions of another person. The official cause was determined to be acute propofol intoxication combined with the effects of several other sedatives, including lorazepam, midazolam, diazepam, lidocaine, and ephedrine. At the request of law enforcement and prosecutors, the full toxicology report was not immediately made public. The autopsy report further noted that Jackson was otherwise in generally good physical condition for his age. His heart was strong, and most of his major organs were healthy and functioning normally. There was no significant evidence of atherosclerosis, aside from a small amount of plaque buildup in the arteries of his leg. It was also reported that he weighed approximately 62 kilograms at the time of his death. Together, these findings painted a clinical and detailed medical picture of his final condition, separating long-standing health rumors from documented forensic evidence, and forming a critical foundation for the legal and public understanding of his death. The official autopsy classified Michael Jackson's death as a homicide. But how would that medical finding be treated in court? Who would be held accountable? And how would Jackson's family respond to the verdict? Would they accept the court's conclusion or continue to believe there was more to the story? Now, let's dive into the conflicting truths surrounding Michael Jackson's final chapter. Behind the final curtain. In 2009, Michael Jackson was living under intense pressure as he prepared for his comeback tour, the This Is It residency at London's O2 Arena. It was not just a series of concerts, but a massive 50-show project carrying an estimated $400 million worth of responsibility tied to his financial recovery and the future security of his children. Every rehearsal, every decision, and every performance carried heavy expectations. At the same time, he was quietly battling long-term physical pain and severe insomnia that made rest almost impossible. In trying to keep up with the demands of his career, he increasingly relied on strong sedative medications, including propofol, which is normally only used in controlled hospital settings. Behind the spotlight, his daily life had become a struggle between exhaustion, pressure, and the need to keep going. After his death, official investigations concluded that he died from acute propofol intoxication combined with other sedatives in his system. The findings led to one of the most closely watched medical trials in modern entertainment history. In 2011, his personal physician, Dr. Conrad Murray, stood trial for involuntary manslaughter. Prosecutors argued that administering such powerful anesthetic pills in a private home without proper medical monitoring or safety equipment was a serious breach of medical responsibility. The court ultimately found him guilty, and he was sentenced to 4 years in prison, although he served roughly 2 years before being released early. Following the case, his medical license was revoked or restricted, and he eventually left the country. Murray later maintained that he had been blamed unfairly, claiming he felt betrayed, and even set up during the investigation. Within the Jackson family, the tragedy also created deep emotional divisions and different interpretations of what truly happened. LaToya Jackson publicly suggested that her brother's death was not simply an accident, but part of a larger and more complex situation, describing Dr. Murray as a fall guy rather than the only person responsible. Years later, in 2017, Paris Jackson also shared her belief that her father may have been killed, rejecting the official explanation and hinting that there were still unanswered questions surrounding his final days. These differing views continue to fuel public debate, keeping discussions about his death, responsibility, and truth alive even years later. Beyond Dr. Conrad Murray serving a prison sentence for the negligence that led to Michael Jackson's death, how did the world react to the loss of the King of Pop? What emotional tributes were held to honor his extraordinary life? And before his passing, what dream did he hold high in his heart? Let's uncover the emotional details. The day the world stopped, Michael Jackson's death on June 25, 2009, sent an immediate shockwave across the entire world. It was the kind of news that people struggled to believe at first. Within minutes, millions of people rushed online, trying to confirm what had happened. Search engines like Google and social platforms like Twitter slowed down as traffic surged to extreme levels, overwhelmed by the global reaction. Across cities, homes, and public spaces, people gathered in silence or disbelief, trying to understand how a figure so large, so influential, and so deeply tied to modern music could be gone so suddenly. The grief quickly turned into a shared, global moment. Just days later, on July 7, a large public memorial was held at the Staples Center in Los Angeles. Around 17,500 people filled the venue, while an estimated 31 million viewers across the United States watched the ceremony unfold from their homes. The event became more than just a farewell. It turned into a worldwide expression of love, sadness, and respect. Powerful tributes were shared on stage, including emotional performances by Mariah Carey and Stevie Wonder, each adding depth to the atmosphere of loss. It felt like the world had paused for a moment to honor a life that had touched millions in different ways. Amid the sorrow and headlines, something quieter later emerged from a 2011 trial recording dated May 10, 2009. In this audio, Michael Jackson's voice sounded soft, slow, and clearly worn out, yet still thoughtful and focused. It revealed a side of him that many never fully saw in public life. He spoke with deep emotion about his dreams of building a medical facility for children, a place that would offer care, hope, and healing to those in need. His words were not just about music or fame, but about giving something meaningful back to the world. In one of the most touching moments, he said, "These are the songs I've written because I hurt. You know, I hurt." Despite exhaustion in his voice, there was a clear sense of compassion and humanity behind his words. It showed a man still creating, still dreaming, and still hoping to leave behind something that could heal others long after he was gone. Beyond Michael Jackson's dream of leaving the world a better place, what really happened in the hours before his death? Did anyone notice signs that something was wrong, or did everything seem fine like before? Now, let's dive into Michael Jackson's final rehearsal. The final night the cameras captured him alive. On June 24, 2009, no one inside the Staples Center could have imagined they were witnessing one of the final nights Michael Jackson would ever spend preparing for the stage. Just hours before tragedy would change music history forever, cameras quietly recorded him doing what he had always loved most: creating, performing, and chasing perfection. As preparations for the highly anticipated This Is It concert series entered their final stretch, excitement continued to build worldwide. With the opening shows at London's O2 Arena only weeks away, expectations were incredibly high. Every rehearsal became increasingly important, and Michael Jackson remained fully determined to deliver a remarkable comeback that would surprise audiences and reaffirm his legendary place in music history. He reportedly arrived at the arena around 6:30 p.m., greeted by dancers, musicians, choreographers, and crew members working tirelessly to bring his vision to life. Despite carrying the weight of an enormous production, eyewitnesses, including magician Ed Alonzo, remembered him in surprisingly good spirits. Jackson joked about having laryngitis and shared lighthearted moments with those around him before stepping onto the rehearsal floor. At around 9 p.m., the cameras captured Michael Jackson doing what he loved most, bringing his creative vision to life. Those who watched remembered an artist completely focused, carefully fine-tuning dance routines, polishing every transition, and guiding every performance detail with incredible precision. Although moments of tiredness occasionally showed on his face, his determination never weakened. Even through the exhaustion, his passion for creating an unforgettable show continued to shine, inspiring everyone around him. The rehearsal stretched well past midnight, ending like countless others before it. Crew members packed up, believing they would return the following day to continue building one of the most ambitious concert productions ever attempted. None of them knew that the footage recorded that night would soon become some of the final moving images of Michael Jackson at work, preserving not only his extraordinary talent, but also the final chapter of a legendary career just hours before the world changed forever. Michael Jackson remained deeply committed to the career he loved until the very end of his life. But after his passing, what did people remember him for? Was it only his extraordinary music and unforgettable performances, or were there other stories, controversies, and lasting contributions that shaped his legacy? Let's find out. The lasting legacy of Michael Jackson's extraordinary life. After Michael Jackson's death, the conversation surrounding his life became a complicated blend of verified facts, unanswered questions, and countless rumors that spread across television, newspapers, and the internet. While millions mourned the loss of one of music's greatest performers, others began circulating theories that he had staged his own death or was secretly still alive. These stories quickly gained attention online, but investigators and authorities consistently dismissed them, finding no evidence to support such claims. Even years later, these rumors continue to appear, showing just how difficult it has been for some fans to accept the loss of such an extraordinary figure. His changing appearance also remained one of the most misunderstood aspects of his life. For decades, people speculated about why his skin color had changed, often reaching conclusions without knowing the full story. However, medical records later confirmed that Michael Jackson had vitiligo, a skin condition that causes the loss of pigment in patches across the body. This diagnosis provided a medical explanation for changes that had long been surrounded by public misunderstanding and intense media attention. Beyond the rumors about his appearance, Jackson also spent years facing serious legal challenges that attracted worldwide headlines. The accusations against him divided public opinion and placed his personal life under constant scrutiny. Yet, after a lengthy and closely watched legal process, he was fully acquitted of all charges in 2005. Throughout different periods of his career, reports also suggested that advisors sometimes encouraged him to settle certain allegations financially instead of enduring years of highly public legal battles, reflecting the enormous pressure that came with living under constant global attention. Even after his passing, discussions surrounding his final days have continued. Questions about his medical treatment, the decisions made during his last hours, and the circumstances surrounding his death remain topics of debate for many people. At the same time, official investigations and court records have established many key facts, helping separate documented evidence from speculation and rumor. In the end, Michael Jackson's story cannot be defined by controversy alone. His true legacy reaches far beyond headlines and public debate. Through groundbreaking music, unforgettable performances, revolutionary music videos, and an unmatched ability to inspire audiences around the world, he changed popular culture forever. His life was filled with remarkable achievements as well as personal struggles, making his story both inspiring and deeply human. Decades later, his influence continues to shape artists, entertain generations, and remind the world why he remains one of the most iconic performers in music history. So, what do you think about the final moments of Michael Jackson's life? Could he have been saved? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.